Are we live?
I think we're live. Good evening, everybody. This is a first for us for doing the live broadcast outside instead of inside the bus. We were able to get a better signal this evening. We're in line of sight of a tower down the stream, and river.
Yes.
Behind us is the Missouri River. We are currently following the Lewis and Clark Trail from St. Louis to Portland, Oregon. We're back in motion after several months being still in Florida, so we're very excited to be back on the open road after an extended stay. I'm going to give you a warning. We are using cellular data. We only have a 4G connection here, so it may be intermittent.
And we're on the very, very edge of the 4G connection. We were having some decent luck with boosting in the bus. But just by the nature of where the best booster inside antenna would work out, we'd be broadcasting from bed, which could be a very different video, but we decided the scenic background here would be even better. So,
this evening, if you're joining us in, this is a live broadcast. The date is June 6th, 2013. If you're watching this at any other time, you are watching an archive, and you will not be able to chat live with us. After we'll talk for a few minutes about life, work, and what else did I say in there? Miles or motion,
balancing
balance.
Family and travel and stuff.
Balancing it all while you're on the road. After we do a brief chat, we'll be opening up for questions and answers. If you would like to ask us any questions, up in the upper right-hand corner is a white box with two tabs. It currently is probably set to video. If you click over to chat, that is the chat box that will show up on our screen here. We are broadcasting from an iPad mini using our unlimited AT&T plan. Thank you very much, AT&T, for keeping that for us.
First off, a quick question for anybody who's watching is just give us a little feedback of how is the signal getting to you right now? Is the audio good? Is the video choppy? Is it coming okay? Because we don't know what you're seeing, and we'd love to know if it's completely garbage, well, let us know so we don't spend a lot of time talking to nobody actually hearing us. So, can you hear us? Yes? No? Maybe? Can you see us? Yes? No? Maybe?
We'll assume it's either so bad no one could hear you asking that question, or that it's okay, no one has found the chat box yet. So, we will go forward. Actually, should I chat into the chat box?
Chat into the chat box. Sure. Is your own chat even getting out?
Audio sounds good. Video passes.
Oh.
Okay, that's fine.
Woohoo.
Awesome. I'm glad it's getting out. Pretty good. All right, thank you very much.
I don't see it yet.
Yes.
Pretty good. Okay.
All right, it sounds like it's going to work okay. We are getting some poor signal stuff here, so.
Okay, here's a lot of people coming through. So
it sounds like we do have a delay. So thank you very much. Okay.
This is perfect example of surviving with intermittent and potentially variable connectivity. So.
Yes, we love doing these video chats. Unfortunately, we are constrained by where we have actual bandwidth to do this. So, let's get started on work, life, and motion balance. There, I remembered my own title that I made up the other day. Since the beginning of May, we've been back in motion and trying to balance getting across country. We started in Florida, and we're on our way to Portland, Oregon. So we're trying to balance. We need to be there by July 3rd. So we've taken about 2 months to do it, and we have to get across country, and all the time we still have to get in our work hours. We still have to live life.
We spent some time with family and two different various.
Well, we took
fashions.
We needed to take a side road trip up to Connecticut with my parents, where we went in a vehicle and took a train back. Then we stopped in St. Louis for a week to spend time with Chris's parents. So we've been balancing family time.
And we also wrote a book and released a major update to our apps.
Well, we had our normal workload. Our clients,
yes.
our major clients are going through some transition right now, so they're requiring extra support from us. And then in the process of this, we had the crazy idea to write a book. which we did release on Monday. If you've not heard about it yet, I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it. It's the Mobile Internet Handbook. It's the book we've been probably meaning to write for years, and finally got around to it. It's everything you need to know about staying connected while traveling. So I'm amazed that we accomplished everything we have so far, and we're still sane.
It's been a very, very, very productive time in so many different ways.
And we've traveled probably about 1,800 miles so far since May.
Yeah.
I think I mapped it out the other day. We're about 1,800 miles.
Including the version to Connecticut?
Not including our side trip up to Connecticut.
Which was another...
That was another 1,200-mile trip.
At least, yeah.
Round trip each way. So, we've been in a lot of motion in the last 5 weeks or so. And we've been highly productive.
And we've got a lot of quality time.
And we have clean laundry. That's we've been able to manage.
And a fairly clean bus, and bus maintenance is caught up, and we're working on bus projects too. We're starting to dive into solar. So how do we manage to do all this stuff at once? What is the secret? I don't know.
Oh, do you know what we installed on the bus? It gives us 26 hours a day. That's our secret. And sometimes that's what you feel like you need, because if you're working a full day, and maybe you've got contract work or whatnot that requires you still to work an 8-hour day or more, you've got to get your hours in. You need time to go and see the places that you've driven to go see. So you're constantly exploring new locations. And on top of that, you've got to get to your new location. So there's this driving time that you've got to factor in. And it can be tough. It can be a lot of really tough. I mean, there's sometimes I'll get an email while Chris is driving the bus, and a client needs support. And it's like, okay, find the next parking lot where we've got signal. And so we'll pull in, stop in. We'll find signal, stop for about an hour so I can handle whatever it is I need to handle. Yes. Chris gets a bathroom break from driving.
One of the keys to working on the road is, particularly if you're traveling with your house, is you've got your house. You could stop almost anywhere and switch gears to work time if something comes along. It's not ideal to have it being interrupt driven, but take advantage of that as an opportunity.
Right. There are some days where we're just wanting to make miles. I think a common question you'll see on some of the RVing groups and forums is, how many miles do you drive a day? And for us, it varies so much.
We had a 40-mile day the other day. 40,
yes,
50,
yes. Yesterday we traveled 40 miles. Today we did about
140, 150.
140.
No, actually more than that, because the back roads we did.
We did back roads.
180, 200 almost. I don't know. We did a bunch.
And then, like when we were going from Savannah to Chattanooga, we did that in one day. That was 380 miles. That was a long driving day for us. And then we did Chattanooga to St. Louis in a day and a half, basically. We did that in a short order. Because those are areas of the country we've explored a lot. We go a lot between St. Louis and Florida because our families live there. So we're like, okay, we've seen this, done this. We're ready to get west.
Let's maximize our time in places we've never been, like here, Nebraska City. And so that's one of the other important kind of, I guess, rules for working and balancing everything on the road is when you have a long driving day, don't try to make that also productive in other ways, because it's very draining, and nothing can exhaust you more than to finish a long driving day and then try to switch gears. If you have to do it in an emergency, well, of course do it, but it's much better to focus. This is going to be a driving day. That's the prime focus. That's what we're going to do. I know after a long day of driving, because I'm so focused on peripheral vision, I can't even look at a screen afterwards other than my iPhone. I could read email on my iPhone, something small, something tunnel vision to focus on after having been in peripheral vision mode all day is all I can handle is a small screen. So that's one place where it's very important to separate. If you've got big screen projects and big driving projects, is divide up the days. Don't try to split your days.
Right. Well, if we're in our preferred mode and we're trying to now set a pace, is we'll drive one day, get a few miles in, and then stop somewhere for 2 nights.
At least 2 nights.
2 nights, so that we have a day focused on the living aspects of our lifestyle. So on our stopped days when we'll be productive.
Right.
It's the day when we'll get work done, maybe clean the bus, get laundry done, go for a hike, and do all the things that we try to do. Now, we haven't totally failed at that since we left St. Louis. We're only on day 3.
Yeah, we have only been on the road a couple of days. But yeah, you will be a lot more productive doing a full day of driving and a full day of work than you will doing a half day of each. Key secret, if you're trying to maximize what you're getting done.
Well, for us, I mean, some people, we know, like Sean and Louise of our Odyssey, when they're doing a cross-country trek, they tend to drive 2 or 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then they're still being, living their life,
Yep.
Doing their training
Yep.
for the Red Cross stuff and things like that. So it is possible. I mean, but we find that in our bus, we have living mode in the bus and we have motion mode in the bus. So like all the fruits and vegetables from the counter go onto the couch. The cat's litter box, which usually goes underneath the driver's seat when we're stopped, has to get moved out. So there's a lot of little things that we change between the 2 modes, and switching back and forth between them every single day, I don't know, it drives me crazy.
If you go into full-on, like, let's set up and get into productive desk mode and, deploy everything, well, yeah, then it definitely is a hassle. Let's see, other tricks, tips?
Yeah, and just don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm tired. We're not driving today.
Mm-hmm.
We got a beautiful location. We're going to stay here for a little bit. That's perfectly okay. The biggest thing is try not to have too many fixed deadlines. And if you do have deadlines or places you have to be, give yourself plenty of time. We're interested to see how having to be to Portland, Oregon by July 3rd will feel for us.
It's less than a month. We're rushing already.
Yes, we're already really, oh my gosh.
It took Lewis and Clark 18 months, okay? So we're going way faster than they did it.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
So anyway, those are our thoughts on balancing work, life, and miles on the road. On the mode. See, it's been a long driving day. We actually did 5 hours of driving. And then we had to try 2 different spots to find some place, and we've been in,
today one of our criteria was, we promised that we'd do this video chat. We can't stop someplace just because it's beautiful and awesome or cool. We've got to stop someplace because it has a decent signal. So we'd be like, is this going to work? No. Is this going to work? No. We pre-scouted with our app coverage, but nothing beats actually scouting on the ground, too. So that was our main criteria. We're walking around this, finding the best spot on the bank here that we can actually get a signal.
Right. So go ahead if you've got questions for us, and it doesn't have to be necessarily about work and life. It could be anything nomadic, anything tech related. Go ahead and start chatting, putting those in the chat box. Mm-hmm. I'm going to assume there's a little bit of a delay. While I'm waiting for some questions to appear on the screen, I'm going to just kind of shoot the camera around so you can see the Missouri River. Yep. And where the bus is parked, and get a lay of the land of where we're at. We're in Nebraska City.
Nebraska.
Or as Siri like to say, we're in Nebraska City, Northeast.
Yes, Siri does not seem to know Nebraska. Every time she's giving directions to something in Nebraska, she's telling me Northeast. Okay, Apple, work on your maps.
So go ahead and start asking your questions. We're going to keep jabbering on, but go ahead and start queuing them up, and we'll be happy to answer them.
And before she spins the camera, I have a question for any of you guys. If you've got any recommendations on things to do, things not to miss, routes to take between Nebraska City, Nebraska, and Portland, Oregon, we're in seeking advice and recommendations mode. So throw them at us.
Well, probably better not to do them on the chat screen, but if you could drop us an email or Facebook or something like that, that would be most appreciated. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do some spinning around while the questions pop up. You can see the Missouri River down here. And we're at a little riverfront campground that's run by the Nebraska State Parks. And over there you can see the bus in the distance. Got a nice view out the bus today. Unfortunately, the signal's not so great over there. And there's Chris sitting on a picnic table. All right. Could be Lewis and Clark being their mermaids that they were talking about.
We've got a little bit of a whirlpool going over here, too. And the amazing thing that I hadn't quite realized about Lewis and Clark is they actually, for the most part, pulled their keelboat upriver. So I find it so easy and luxurious to just drive a bus, as opposed to pulling a giant boat several thousand miles. So they're amazing. You know, the more I read about Lewis and Clark history, the more blown away I am. But back to your questions.
All right. So the first question that has come up is, how do you know where to stop as far as the good campgrounds or RV parks? So we use several apps for our iPhone and iPad. We like Campware.
Demo time.
And RV Parking and Allstays are kind of the three go-to apps that we use. And I think that most of those have Android versions for those of you Android folks out there.
There's way too much glare
Yeah, you're
here.
getting a glare of the trees on it. So we'll kind of look around and see. We prefer state parks, national campgrounds, basically the publicly owned ones, because you tend to be a little more out in nature like this instead of having neighbors right next to you. So we'll look at those and just see what's in the area. We might just look at an old paper map sometimes and see what's around.
Sometimes I scout ahead on Google Earth or with Google satellite images and stuff to
kind of see what it looks like, see how far spaced the campsites are. We like privacy when we can get it.
Or to see if the place that is the campsites are actually near, like here in this case, like we wanted to find a place to be on the water, and this campsite actually is. A lot of other quote river campsites, the campgrounds might as well be a mile or two away from the river. You might not even get a view. Mm-hmm. So checking out things in advance by satellite is awesome.
Right. And then once we kind of have gotten some options in our minds, I'll go over to RVparkreviews.com and see what the reviews are for the site. If there's something glaringly bad about it, we might avoid it.
On the other hand, like this place where we're at tonight is not even listed in RV Park Reviews at all. This is kind of a hidden mystery, I guess, because they just added power here recently. So a lot of the things in RV Park Reviews are for more people who are chasing after power and full hookups and stuff. So there's a lot of parks out there, that particularly smaller city parks or non-commercial parks and stuff, that are hardly listed anywhere, and some of those are real gems.
Right. We also keep a pass. So the next question is about camp memberships. And how they work. We do keep, the only camp membership that we keep is Passport America, which costs, I think, $42 a year, I think is their current rate. Yeah. And you get 50% off at some commercial RV parks and resorts across the country. And we like to use those when we know that we need to dump the tanks, fill the water, maybe get some laundry done, because they have all those amenities there. So when we're passing through and we've been several days, maybe we've been out in state parks without hookups, or we've done blacktop docking at rest stops or Walmarts or Lowe's like we did last night, or things like that, we'll then go find a Passport America park. So a lot of the commercial RV parks tend to go for, these days, seem to be between $30 and $40 a night list. Seems to be about the average these days. They've definitely gone up in the 7 years since we've been on the road. And you get 50% off of that. So you can find campgrounds usually in the $15 to $20 to $22 range with Passport America, which makes it about the same range as what we pay for a state park to stop, and then we have access to a dump station. And
so yeah, Passport America we find is definitely worth it. We know some people. I think this person might be referring to some of the other things like Thousand Trails and some of the other things that are you pay a certain amount.
Usually
and actually,
in the hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and actually in a lot of cases you buy a membership that then theoretically you could resell at some point down the road, and then have annual dues, and also they have all sorts of very convoluted rules and whatnot. But the advantage is that it gives you potentially unlimited free camping at full. Well, it depends on the system and like the zones, and they get very complicated if you know that their campgrounds are ones where you want to be. We know people who work the system and are basically they hop between two different parks of a particular system, and that is their camping for the year. But for us, we feel that's very confining.
We in 7 years on the road, there's only been one time where a Thousand Trails campground was where we wanted to be.
Yes, that's true.
And that's when we picked up the Oliver, because there happened to be one there in Hohenwald, Tennessee.
But even then, actually the Meriwether Lewis.
There's a free campground.
That is absolutely stunningly beautiful. That is actually kind of hidden, tucked away, near the place where Lewis and Clark theme is where Lewis died in Tennessee.
So if you're just starting out, I recommend don't buy an annual membership club other than Passport America. Passport America will probably make sense for you, and you
It'll
can
pay
buy
for itself.
and you can buy that one the first time you need it. Usually, most of the campgrounds you can buy it on site right there, or go online and buy it and then hand over your, show your receipt and show your receipt. Until you know how you travel and the types of RV parks you like and the places you're going. I think 1,000 Trails still has a free trial. Like you can go for like 3 days and go check them out. If you're finding that where their parks are located or any of the other membership groups are, well, then yes, it's probably going to be a good deal for you.
So do the free trial, but make yourself a promise before you go in that you won't buy anything on the spot, no matter how persuasive they are, because they sell them like timeshares, and they will try to make it seem like you need to buy now and this is the best deal ever and jump on it. And just if you go in that, okay, I'm going to think about this and actually really think about it later after the fact, you'll be able to make a much more informed decision.
Right. And a lot of the there used to be like lifetime memberships and things like that, and you can sometimes pick those up used from other people who have gotten away from RVing, and you can get those cheaper than buying a brand new one. So research them out. There are so many different options out there, and just make sure it's going to fit your style of living on the road. Some people it works really well for. For us, have we ever stayed? No.
It has never really seemed to come up.
We base our travels around places we want to go to and people we want to see, and
not around going to 1,000 Trails Park.
Right.
Because they're usually kind of vacation resort things. They're for people who want to go out and camp and be in nature. Those parks are often away from anything else interesting, and
I also hear they're usually out of cell phone signal.
Yes.
Or in poor cell phone signal areas. And their Wi-Fi networks are overloaded because so many people need to get online now. So they're usually not tops on our list to go try out. So, but that doesn't mean that they might not work for you.
So somebody pointed out that a few years ago this spot was totally flooded.
Actually, no, that was 5 days ago, as we heard from the locals.
Yeah, we just met a local. I guess there was a few feet of water here just last week. But there was a pillar over next to the boat dock that has where the 2011 flood was and the 1993 flood was. And, we would be under about 20 feet of water right now in those years. Camping on a floodplain makes it interesting.
Yes. How do you deal with off-site backups of your data dealing with limited bandwidth?
So we do basically data drops in various places where we'll just leave behind a hard drive that is a master backup.
So we have bought several external hard drives, and we have them scattered across the nation. So if we ever have a catastrophe in which we need a total system refresh, and we do put stuff on Dropbox. So any critical files that we're working with right now, we have access to and can get to really quickly.
Right.
But we just know where our data drops are and have a trusted family member or friend who can overnight us one of those hard drives if needed.
And then as you said, Dropbox, for those who don't know, is kind of a shared network hard drive that all the computers that subscribe to a given Dropbox have. Ours, I think we have a 50 gig plan, or 25 gigs. So we've got 25 gigs of space. That is, anything we save into that folder, next time we connect online, is backed up instantly. And is also backed up, copied to our other computers. So it's copied computer to computer and also to the Dropbox cloud. So things that are like current projects, current documents, make sure we make sure we're saving them in the Dropbox. And we also make sure that they're not big, huge graphic files. And then they get backed up to wherever we're at. And that's generally not a huge bandwidth load.
All right. Have you used Good Spam RV Travel Guide?
RV, yeah. The Good Spam Club. The most thing I've ever gotten from them is a lot of offers and a lot of requests to renew requests to renew your membership in the Good Spam Club because it's about to expire, even though they're sending that 9 months before your expiration. I've never got more junk mail from a company than from Good Spam.
We are members of Good Spam, Sam, just because our RV insurance requires us to do it to get their discounts.
Right.
And occasionally we have used a discount at an RV park when it's the only option. Right. But the commercial RV parks don't tend to be our style. And the Good Sam and AAA and those sorts of places, I guess there are some nice ones out there, but they're not typically our preferred style.
And also you could get like the 10% Good Sam discount or the 50% Passport America. So we've gotten a lot of times the Passport America parks also are Good Sam discount accepting, but they're not going to combine the discounts. So we haven't really had too many times where Good Sam was.
Now
really
I know some people that love Good Sam's emergency service, that they get good insurance deals, they get all sorts of benefits that do make sense for them. We're not really active members.
If they are helping us with our insurance discounts.
Yeah, we
take advantage of that. They have a lot of good network effects. It's not a very expensive membership to have. The hardest part is making sure you try to opt out of all the things they'll try to mail you.
All the physical mail that they send. They're not necessarily geared towards full-timers, so they're constantly sending out stuff. And
they share your thing with other partners so they can send you offers as well, too. They're very much onto the network sales effect. So that's the biggest downside of Good Sam. We do wear our members of. So.
All right. So next one is, which tech career lends itself best to full-time RV living? Example: software programming, web development, web design, and the like. If you could start over, what computer career would you choose? All of those are going to be compatible with a mobile lifestyle. It really comes down to what are your interests. What are you going to be passionate about? What are you going to be able to wake up in the morning and feel like doing with an amazing view out your window?
I don't think there's anything, any one of those that stands out among the others. I know people doing all of them.
And enjoying it and loving it.
Yeah.
Are you more code inclined? Are you more graphically inclined?
Are you a designer? Are you a web type person? Are you a support person?
Go with your strengths and your passions. And, life's too short not to be doing things that you're enthusiastic about doing.
Okay. Has the size of your RV been an issue in finding cheap or free campgrounds? Ask us again in a year, because we haven't really been out in the West hunting for those sort of campgrounds where they tend to be too much.
So we went with a 35-foot. When we upgraded, we wanted to stay under 35 feet. The reasoning being that a lot of campgrounds, the public ones, were created when the highway rules were that 35 feet was the maximum length. So we have found that we have had more options for camping than some of our friends in larger ones, and that might have been we might have been able to squeeze into a waterfront site where they had to take one in the center of the RV park. There have been some times where we might have gotten a slightly cheaper rate because we were 35 feet and under. There have been some state parks where we could snag one of the last larger sites because we were smaller and we could get back there. And there have been sites where we used to be able to fit in with our 17-foot trailer, and there's no chance we're getting in there.
And in particular, when we had the 4x4 Jeep and the Tab and or the Oliver, we had a lot more mobility options to get to, little exotic places. The biggest constraint, we actually kind of ran into this today, the biggest constraint we have now with the bus is 35 feet long, but when you're pulling a toad that is 4 down, you can't back up without unhitching it. And so that means that a lot of roads you might go down that even with a bus you could still do a 3 or 4 point turn and turn around. Suddenly, if you're towing a toad, you're kind of stuck going where the road takes you. So today we
turned off. We're going back roads along the Lewis and Clark Trail. Chris had found a potential RV park for us to check out. We pulled down to it. It had just been recently completely flooded over and looked very closed and unnavigable.
It looked navigable, but Sheree didn't want to turn into their driveway, so we continued down the road, only to then realize that the road didn't have any other turnoffs until way, way down the road, where it turns into a nuclear power plant front entrance with security gates and deadly forces authorized for anyone who continues past here. So we actually had to park on the side of the road next to the nuclear power plant before the security gates, unhitch the Mini, do a 3-point turn with the bus, and then rehitch the Mini to turn around. So that's like one of the constraints.
And we have gone down into some national forest campgrounds, and had to do some very tight maneuvering to move in there, and but we love the space of our bus. It's always a question back and forth of whatever size you have, you will be able to find options. It's just a matter of they're going to be the options you want at that moment.
Right.
Let's see what happened.
What things that you expected from mobile life that turned out not to be true or surprised you?
Surprised. I don't know that I had many expectations before we hit the road.
I expected to travel a lot more. I've written about this. My first year on the road, when I set off, I wrote about expecting in my first year to make it to Alaska and to Baja California, Baja Mexico, and also was planning to go across country to Baltimore, and then I met this girl who invited me down to Florida, and I thought I was going to do all that in the first year on the road, and I still haven't made it to Alaska or down into Mexico or Canada, and so much of this country is still unexplored, and it's great. I'm not disappointed in that. It's like the
We're
pace.
not bored.
No, not bored at all.
It's amazing that 7 years on the road, and people ask us, "Oh my gosh, you must have been everywhere." Like, no.
Never been here before.
No, you can never really see it all. And after your first year on the road, you realize that you can't see it all. And I don't know, most people we talk to tend to slow down the pace.
Yeah.
And they just dismiss. I mean, you can always tell the kind of first and second years people, because we'll be camped next to them, and they'll be out every single day just going to see every single site in the immediate area, and we're like, oh yeah, okay.
Because also, once you I guess kind of relax into the lifestyle, you've got the mindset of like, well, okay, I didn't see X, Y, and Z in this town, but I'll see it next time. I don't have to. Or there's something else awesome down the road. I don't have to try and rush to see it all and check off everything on the guidebook. It's just life, and you can enjoy it at a much more relaxed pace.
All right.
We're
still debating whether we need a washer dryer. So when Chris invited me to join him on the road in his little 16-foot clam cab thingy, it was tiny. We didn't even have a bathroom or a refrigerator or an air conditioner, so a washer and dryer was the furthest luxury from my mind. But 7 years on the road, we have never had a washer or dryer in any of our RVs.
And I wouldn't have wanted one. I know some people who do like having them on board, but actually I know a lot of other people who have gotten them
as
an option and ended up having them taken out for more storage space. And because the constraints of an RV washer and dryer is you can only really use it when you're someplace with full hookups. It uses way too much power and way too much water to do when you're not someplace with full hookups, really, practically. And, any place with full hookups probably has a laundry room anyway.
We're not squeamish about using a laundry room. I know some people are very squeamish about it. They don't want to be using machine where other people's personal fluids are on their laundry may have been left behind. And that's understandable, but,
But, and then the RV washer and dryers are micro-sized, so you're doing teeny tiny loads. The dryers are not high efficiency 230 volt, like really roast things and dry fast. They take hours and hours to dry. So you're spending days, all day to do half the amount of laundry that you could have done in just one load at a...
I really like, we store up our laundry maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, and we go to the laundromat and we run 2 or 3 washers at a time, 2 or 3 dryers at a time, and we're done in an hour and a half. It's over with. Whereas I don't like to have, I don't like doing dishes, so...
I don't want to spend all day doing it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I know some people say, I just start a small load every morning, and some people love it, and it's great. When I lived in a stationary home, I let my laundry pile up for a week and a half to 2 weeks because I'm lazy that way. Mm-hmm. I have other things in my life to put my daily attention to. But if doing a small load every day or two is cool to you, then it might make sense. For us, I do not miss having a washer and dryer to have to maintain on my own. I don't, and to keep our rig smaller, I like that we have like mega storage space and we can store a lot of clothes, so we don't actually have to do laundry that often.
Hey, somebody's got analysis paralysis about the length of an RV. They like the idea of the national, federal, and state campgrounds that would be more accessible with 36 feet, but they like the idea of more room in 40. That's trade-offs.
Everything about your RV choice is going to be a trade-off. When we selected our 35-foot bus, one of the advantages of the particular bus model that we went with, the 4106, is the way the rear engine is configured. And it's sideways, right?
Yeah, engine is
sideways, which actually gives it more space than a compatible or equal space to a comparable 40-foot bus. Right. So when people walk into our bus and see how much interior space we have, they start to drool.
Layout makes more difference than anything. So
yeah, layout is key over actual length. So look for smartly designed layouts.
And if room is really a criteria, you could find some shorter length RVs that have really big slides. And slides have their other trade-offs. But if you're trying to go shorter and wider, that's also an option. Right. But it is tough. It is all about trade-offs. If you're considering 40, well, why not 45? Go for maximum amount of space. There's a whole range of.
Go spend time in lots of RVs. Go look at RVs smaller than the size range you think you need and larger, and just really feel what is going to work for you. Okay.
Why can you not back up with a towed? I've backed up towing a trailer.
Tows are not trailers. There's no pivot point.
A trailer has a pivot point so that you can, as you're backing up, you can put leverage on it and steer it. A towed that is being towed 4 down has no equivalent pivot point, and if you back up more than just a few feet, you will jackknife and you will have no control over it. Now, fortunately, it only takes us about 2 or 3 minutes to unhook the towed. So, it's like kind of a Chinese fire drill. You hop out and
I hop in the Mini.
She hops in the Mini, pulls the brake. I put my gloves on to handle the greasy bits and unpull the pins, pull the cord, and we're free and clear in just a few minutes. We can do whatever needs to be done and then remate if we reconnect.
We're gonna mate.
Yeah,
I thought we weren't doing that video today.
But so it's not the end of the world, but it is something you really can't do. And actually, it's still, an RV, a big RV, and a trailer is you can back up some, but we're still a lot more maneuverable in a lot of other ways. We just sometimes have to hop out and disconnect the towed.
All right, Elliot. Hi, Elliot. We miss you guys.
Average day's drive.
We don't know.
Well, so far. So we did St. Louis to Columbia, Missouri to Kansas City, Kansas City
doing about 80 miles right now?
Barely made it anywhere because it was a rainy day. We just decided to take the first state park we came across, made it 40-something miles to Weston, and then to Weston to Nebraska City. So those are the hops so far.
We don't know. Well, don't you know what the average was when we get to Oregon? But we're not planning it, and that goes right into the next question. Are we going through Iowa?
Iowa's right over there. That's Iowa. We actually will very likely be crossing into Iowa and swinging up through Sioux City before swinging west or into South Dakota or across Nebraska. We're still trying to debate exactly what the next turn will be.
Let's see. Someone says, added a comment, and I'm going to read out the comments just so that people watching the archive can get this feedback as well. So an experienced RVer says, I thought the washer-dryer was a must for us. I was so wrong. I get 2 weeks of laundry done in 1 hour at the laundromat. Yes, that's been our thought as well. Yeah. The 45-foot RVs make me feel like I'm in Vegas.
Just don't try driving through Vegas in one of those.
Why not?
Well, okay.
We had fun cruising
in Ben's bus. Yes, that's fun. True. Okay, don't try driving through cities that have smaller, tighter streets than one of the 45-foot ones.
Okay. Is there an average conversion for travel times? So places we visited that took 8 hours to get to at the speed limit, how long would it take in your RV? It's really going to depend upon how fast you drive, how often you stop.
I don't know if there's an easy rule of thumb. We tend to drive, we drive a lot slower than we would if we're in a car. In a car, we tend to go
the speed limit.
Over the speed limit for the most part. When cars are cruising, they're cruising above, they're cruising on the upper side of the speed limit, and cruising particularly in our bus, we cruise on the lower side.
We tend to average going 55 to 60 if the speed limit is that high. And we also tend to take back roads. So if you're used to taking interstates, or you're taking interstates, you're obviously going to get there faster than us when we're meandering state roads or back roads and going down meandering paths and having to turn around at nuclear power plants.
Yes, that adds a little bit of detour time.
A lot of detour time.
And
it's amazing.
I'm glad they didn't come out with guns, though, although that would have made for some really interesting pictures. Since I'm building my bus myself, I've been thinking of an outdoor kitchen built into the side. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, have fun with that.
Is this your only kitchen going to be an outdoor kitchen, or is it going to be an extra bonus like I like to cook outside kitchen? In which case, awesome. That's great.
Right.
You know.
Right. Now, our first home on wheels was a 16-foot clamshell, teardrop, little tiny thing, and the kitchen was out the back.
It was out the hatch out the back.
The back. So yeah, it opened up out the back, and then the kitchen.
And then you have the world's largest kitchen.
Which was fun. It was great. On a beautiful day, it was really nice. The downsides to having an outside kitchen. Number one, if the weather was bad, it was cold or whatnot.
Or there's bugs.
I'm standing outside in the rain and it's cold to cook dinner.
And or if it's you get home and it's late and you're hungry, whipping up something as a late dinner means you're standing outside, bundled up over the stove.
11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock at night. Meanwhile, you got your light on, and then every little bug in the area is like trying to bounce and circle into your lights. So I wouldn't want to do that being the only option.
We did that for a year.
Yeah, and right now we do have an outdoor kitchen with our bus. We have a propane grill and an induction electric hob that we can just carry outside. We could set up our entire kitchen. Actually, we could pretty much set up our entire kitchen outside other than the sink.
Yeah, we could. We use portable equipment, so we could be an outside kitchen if we wanted to. The other downside, or it could be an upside to an outside kitchen, is when you're cooking outside, you tend to attract people.
Moths and people.
Moths, bugs, yes, but also people. So if you're at a campground and you're outside, that's usually an invitation that you're open to chatting. Now, sometimes that's great, and we've met some amazing people that way, and it's always a great conversation starter to be outside cooking in your outdoor kitchen. But if we have introverted tendencies from time to time, and there were days that we would do we really need dinner tonight? Because I just don't feel like talking to anyone.
Yeah, well, actually, in the tab in particular, the biggest challenge was going to a grocery store and you have to put all your groceries away into the kitchen. Okay, so this would be
his second kitchen. That's a different question. Go for it.
Yeah. Yes. Putting groceries away with the tab, sometimes people would literally line up to ask questions because it was such a unique, strange little vehicle. And once you said, "Oh, I live in this thing," oh my gosh, they had a million questions. And then another car would pull up, and I'd sometimes be surrounded by a little mob. Well, I just want to put my groceries away and drive away. This is.
So if it's your second kitchen, well, that's personal choice,
Second kitchen, great. Although, or make it stuff you can carry from inside to outside is also good.
Right. It's all personal preference. There's no right or wrong in here.
Fuel prices.
Fuel prices. How much are the fuel prices affecting your travels? We have a great article on the blog, and it was also in a recent issue of Bus Conversion magazine that we wrote. We call it pouring rent into the tank. We don't look at fuel prices necessarily as transportation costs. We look at it as rent. We don't have a mortgage payment. We don't have rent anywhere that we're paying. So the combination of campground fees and fuel costs are rent.
Yep. In general, we keep it pretty low.
We keep it, last year we averaged between the two about $750 a month, which is, look at the deer running over there. How cool.
Where?
Over there. Over there.
Okay, we've got deer. We're in nature. The Missouri River, deer. This is heaven on earth. We're doing great.
Yes. So what were we talking about?
Missouri River, deer, internet,
fuel
prices.
So really, the great thing when you look at it as your housing cost instead of being a transportation cost is it is completely in your control. If you don't have the budget to go the miles you want to go, you don't go the miles.
Yes.
You can go find yourself a cheap campground. You can go work camp. You can find another way to not have to spend that money. You can't do that when you have a rental agreement or a mortgage payment if you can't make the payment.
Right.
So it actually, we look at it as an awesome thing, and that we get to choose every month how many miles we want to spend and what we want to afford. So right now we're going to spend probably $1,700 to do this cross country repositioning.
Mm-hmm. But then we'll probably be in Oregon for
we were still in Florida for 4 months beforehand, and we'll probably be fairly stationary in the Northwest for a while. So it all balances out at the end of the year. And, it's all choice. So we actually have a calculator on that. If you go look up that blog post, we linked to a calculator that we built on an Excel spreadsheet that you can go and download and use that says, if the fuel prices go up 25 cents and you're traveling this many miles per year and you're getting this fuel economy, how much it actually impacts it. And basically, in our formula, fuel would have to go up $2 a gallon for it to really change our or Sal, because a quarter increase a year, I mean, it results in like maybe $200 a year. I mean, when I lived in a sticks and bricks house, $200 a year, my living costs could go up that much just by my insurance rates going up, taxes going up, the refrigerator dying. So yeah, it's all relative. Think about fuel as a rental cost, not a transportation cost, and it changes the entire way.
But you can control your fuel, you can't control your rent.
Exactly, it's better than rent.
It's even better.
All right.
30 amp versus 50 amp. What do you need to keep in mind choosing what your RV should use? I guess the general rule of thumb has been 50 amp for 2 air conditioners, 30 amp for 1.
And how much other electronic gadgets?
Yeah. I mean, air conditioners is the dominant thing. Our system, our inverter in particular, allows us to choose how much power we want to consume from the wall current, from shore power. So we have a 50 amp plug, but we can say, use 50 amps, use 30 amps, use 20 amps, or even use just 15 amps. And tell our inverter not to use more than that. And if it needs more power because we turn on an air conditioner rather than blowing a fuse, it just combines the shore power with the battery power, which is an incredibly fabulous feature to have in an inverter.
Especially if you're doing a lot of driveway surfing with friends and family who might only have a 20 amp plug for you.
Or actually a lot of times, we've been able to get by with cheaper camping of like, no, we don't need your 50 amp spot, and they're like, well, you've got 2 air conditioners. It's like, no,
we don't. Even it would have to be over 100 degrees for us to begin with.
But even then, it's like it's nice to have the flexibility. When you're on 30 amps, you have to worry about is if I'm running my air conditioner and I turn on the microwave, this is getting dicey. I might be blowing a fuse. So it's really nice to have the control and flexibility we have. So. Now on the other, so it's a trade-off, and get a good inverter, and go best of both worlds. Start with 50 and be able to choose down.
So someone asked, beyond solar, do we have other mods wish list? Yes, it's 300 lists, 300
I think
items
it's 300,
long.
400 items. So
we've got an unending list. We want to pull out the hot water heater and finally get a furnace back in.
We don't have a furnace, so we want a hydronic furnace, hot water heater / engine block heater all combined into one.
With a diesel burner running off the diesel fuel.
Solar, I want to double the size of our battery bank at some point, from 500 amp hours to 1,000 amp hours. We need to redo our dash.
Yes, and we need to get new front seats. Both the driver and the passenger seat need to be replaced. I'd like to make some modifications to the couch sitting area.
We'd like a better couch setup. That's
it goes
in time. Just like having a house, you have a huge wish list.
Yes. Someone asked, talking about solar, what's in your mind? I don't know that we're quite to a point to be talking about the research. We're not to a decision point yet. So.
We're what's in our mind, the basic goal is as much solar as we could fit on the roof while preserving the aesthetics of our sleek, sexy curved roof. And we've been doing a lot of research into clever and creative ways to maximize that.
So someone commented on the commercials. So we are on a Ustream free account. The reason why is
it's free.
It's free,
and we're not charging for these.
We're not charging you for these videos, which we could be doing pay-per-view to get rid of them, but I doubt many of you would show up. And I think they start showing them after we reach 50 viewers, and we've done that a couple times here. So, like some of the folks who came in early might not get commercials. You'll just have to put up with them. I'm sorry, unless you want to fund. I think they charge $99 a month for us to get rid of them, and we only do one chat a month, and we're gifting you our time.
Yeah.
So,
but the video is recorded, and one thing Ustream does really nicely is that then when we export the recording, the ads are gone. So if there's stuff you missed, like key bits and stuff, when we do publish the YouTube version of this, it will all be there.
Right. How do you keep from killing each other after being with each other all of the time? We're just amazingly well put
I'm
for
very,
each other.
very tolerant.
He's very tolerant. I'm not. It's personality and compatibility. We're really good matches for each other. Our entire relationship has been living in small spaces together, so it's how our relationship has grown. I moved into his little 45 square foot house with him and hit the road for a year just to try out our relationship. and it worked fabulously well. We're really good about each having our own space mentally when we're online. If I get really annoyed with him, I kick him out to run errands.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love being out and about, so it works great.
Yeah, it's just.
I stay up later. She gets up earlier.
Yeah, we have split sleeping shifts. So one thing we love about the bus now is we actually have 2 rooms, so I can close the door at night and go in and read or watch a TV show or something in the bedroom while he's up still late night working whatever projects he's working on, and then I get up in the morning before him and have some me time. So it works really well. As a single with a cat, I want to go smaller, but the holding tanks are also smaller. What size were the tanks on the Oliver, and how often did you have to dump? She's thinking back with the Oliver. So the Oliver, for those who aren't familiar with our whole scheme, was our second RV that we full-timed in for 3 years. It was huge in compared to the first one. It was 17 feet.
Yeah. What made the Oliver really special was that it was small, but it was designed. Well, it was more designed like a yacht or a boat. It was designed really, really high quality, really, really tightly integrated systems. It had huge tanks for something so small. It's close to...
So our fresh water was something like 32 gallons.
Plus another 6 in the water heater, so 38 gallons of fresh.
Right, and I think the gray was like 38 and the black was 18.
Yeah, so
they were substantial for such a small trailer, and we could make those last 2 weeks if we needed to. We're doing water conservation.
Right.
Let's see. Traveled outside of California for the first time. Saw gas stations selling gas with ethanol or alcohol in it. How does that compare? We don't use gas for diesel. So
yes, but in general, what the ethanol does is it ends up it reduces your fuel economy is the biggest thing. So it's you're supporting American farmers, but you're getting fewer miles per gallon. You could go do some research and stuff. I don't think it's particularly a modern engine. They're all designed to be able to burn certain percentages of ethanol, but check your owner's manual. Some older engines might have issues with ethanol. In general, all it does is just give you less miles per gallon.
So Ty Moore says boxes of wine. That's how we get along.
It does help. It definitely helps.
All right. That was the last question that I see on the screen.
And the sun is going down over there, too.
The sun is going down over there, so we're going to be soon losing our natural light here. This is why we started 10 minutes early. I'll leave it open for a couple more minutes just to see if anyone has any more questions for us to answer.
And I think we could just put the thing up in this broadcast, the Missouri River flowing by for a few minutes to let people enjoy the bit of nature view here.
We could, but we do want to go ahead and thank you for joining us this evening. We try to do these chats about once a month, and we do it as we have time and bandwidth availability, so they're kind of last minute. If you would like to be on our email list, we have a specific email list just for when we announce these chats, and you can sign up on the website. It's on the sidebar. And we will, as soon as we decide to do one or that we're going to attempt one, we send out an email there. Of course, we also announce it on Facebook, and we try to do a blog post beforehand as well. So we try to get the info out. But these are just fun. It's a lot easier for us to take your questions and answer them this way than it is to write a whole bunch of emails back and forth. So this has been a lot of fun.
Somebody had a question just came up here.
Okay. Our camper sat on a lot for a year and a half with
a full blank tank.
1.5 years later, we still have issues. You might want to, they're asking suggestions for cleaning the tank completely. That's not something we've encountered, thankfully, but I know that the RVing forums have a lot of information on it, and I know people that have just had to take their tanks out and get new ones.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard. Once you've got the pyramid of poo and paper in there, it kind of solidifies and becomes its own mountain.
And if there isn't a flush-out system, it's actually something that isn't too hard to add. If the tank has got some sort of access to it, we can drill in and put in a little flush-out nozzle. And that could be the cheaper solution than replacing your entire tank. If that's an easy mod, you can try that and see if that lets you give it a real thorough interior wash. That's something to try.
Cool. Someone asking about the solar setup again. As Chris said before, we are deep in research on that. Our goal is to get as much solar on the roof without destroying the curves.
We will be sharing a lot more about the research once we get there.
You can rest assured when we're ready, you will be hearing nonstop solar from us. We are just not ready to talk the specifics yet. We're deep in with several companies and talking to it right now. So
One more question. How hard is it to get a 4-season RV? You shop for it, you pay for it. That's about it. Just make sure that you do your homework.
Do your homework on what 4-season is and what that really means, and know how to winterize.
And make sure that the person who's telling you it's a 4-season RV doesn't live in Texas or Florida. Buy 4-season RVs from dealers in like Minnesota and Canada, or you get recommendations from people who have seasons.
Where's the cat? She's back in the RV. Like we said at the beginning of the thing, we're having to do this outside because we have.
Because it's beautiful.
It's beautiful,
nice.
And the tower's right over there, whereas we're not able to get a solid signal inside the bus. But she's back in there guarding things for us. So we're gonna sign off for now. We'll see you next month. See you on the blog. See you on Facebook. And if you haven't gotten already, our ebook rocks. So go get our new mobile internet ebook. And $2 code this week.
And now a little bit of scenic river for a few minutes for you to enjoy. Imagine Lewis and Clark sailing past. Oh, that's beautiful.
They weren't sailing. They were going.
Oh, they were pushing and pulling. Oh, yes.
All right.